Especially strippers.
Sorry, dancers.
Dancers, yes. But yeah, I totally agree that that's kind of
Unacceptable.
ridiculous. That it just gets kind of, yeah, they did that, but whatever. And other forms of protest or
Listen, I hate protests in
mass
general.
insurrection.
I don't care what the protest. You could be protesting to give me specifically all you can eat tacos for the rest of your life. I don't like protests.
I would be perfectly fine if listeners, if you want to take to the streets and demand that I get tacos for free for the rest of my life, by all means, you have my seal of approval.
By the way,
But keep it peaceful.
do you know where Montgomery, New York is?
Yeah.
There's a taco fest in Montgomery coming up in June.
Yep.
I'm going.
It's expensive usually.
No.
It's usually like at least $50 per person to get in.
Don't tell Christine.
Which is
that.
kind of ridiculous because I'm pretty sure you still are expected to give the vendors like $1 per taco. If it's all you can, if all the tacos are free after you pay that $50 entry, then sure. But I don't think that was the case when I read about it last year.
A headline from CBS Sports: Kristaps Porzingis leaves game against Bucks tonight with possible left knee injury. Well, no shit.
Yeah, thanks. Someone posted this meme. This just to briefly touch on the Super Bowl halftime show. That kid just staring at his phone with Justin Timberlake was like there. It was hilarious. He just like didn't know what to do with his hands.
Who is Justin Timberlake?
Yeah. So now there's the meme with that kid in Google, and it's how to donate your knee.
That's great. Yeah. All right,
after the KP injury.
We're gonna continue. Moving on with these quote-unquote bold predictions. This one's possibly the boldest of them all. Andrew Luck returns and plays all 16 games for the Colts.
That was bold.
It's a bold strategy that Cotton.
This injury was apparently plaguing him forever, and maybe now it's fully fixed. But yeah, that's pretty bold. If he comes back and starts the season, then I could see it. But that's the whole thing. If he comes,
I have
back
a hard
and
time
starts.
with an injury like that, believing that he's not going to land on that shoulder wrong and just completely kill it.
Could happen. I don't know. He's been out of the league,
A year and a half.
Yeah. And
I mean, a guy who literally almost died on the field returned from almost having his leg amputated before he did. Like, if that's not a bad sign, then I don't know what is.
yeah.
All right, number 9, the NFL changes the catch rule to appease fans and increase scoring.
Changes it to what? Because the announcers are always like, "Oh, this rule is so unclear. It's so confusing."
Really,
The rule is not that confusing.
It is. It is confusing because they don't clearly define what is a football move. In the actual rule, it says such as, and then etc. Like, what is a football move? We don't know how many steps constitutes a football move. Because I got really frustrated, like, having to explain to all these fools that the Ertz catch and the Jesse James non-catch were completely different.
Yeah, they were completely different situations.
Jesse James didn't take any steps. He
was
caught,
going to the
turned,
ground.
going to the ground.
Yeah. You
Ertz-
need to maintain control through the ground. Ertz caught it, turned, and took like 3 steps.
Yeah, if you want to make an argument that there are terrible rules or that's similar to something else, the Austin Safarian Jenkins, when the same argument could be called that he bobbled it crossing the line.
People talked about that Clement catch as a bobble, but the rules state that if it's a controlled move, that it's not a bobble. I thought it was a controlled move, that he was bringing it into his carry position in the crook of his elbow.
It looked to me like at one point it wasn't touching any part of him and he brought it back in.
Right, but they called it a touchdown, and I don't think it was enough evidence to overturn.
No.
If it was called incomplete on the field, same thing. I think it stands.
Right.
And you have to allow that to happen. The refs are obviously far from perfect. And the call on the field has to, it's going to be overturned. It has to be obvious.
The most egregious thing that the refs did is not show us the damn index card.
Where was the index card?
Gene Steratore.
But yeah, the Ertz thing was definitely a catch. I think, and Collinsworth was like, I don't know about this. Can we talk about how bad Collinsworth was? Oh my god, I never want to hear him announce a game.
I understand why he's confused, because when I was watching it, I was like, I don't know. It depends on if they're going to look at this like in comparison to the ASJ thing, because if so, then it's a touchback.
No. Collinsworth was seemingly baffled on the Ertz catch.
No, that's what I'm talking about.
No,
because
I don't think the Ertz touchdown was questionable at all.
It was because of the Austin Seferian-Jenkins thing. Because as he's crossing the line before,
right, but he wasn't going out of
bobbles.
bounds. He had full possession, and he gets hit in the knee, and he's going across the line, and he doesn't bobble before he crosses the plane. He bobbles once it hits the ground, but that doesn't matter. It's already a touchdown. He had full possession. He was a runner.
Right, but everyone who has a brain and eyes knows that Austin Seferian-Jenkins had a touchdown. Like, we all know that.
Right.
Worst case scenario, can't advance a fumble. He fumbled. Can't advance it. They get the ball at the 1.
Right, but I think that's a different situation because he was going out of bounds.
See, this is where it's too confusing. Because
Collinsworth was like sure that it was going to be overturned. He was throating the Patriots all night. Him and Al Michaels seemed disappointed that the Eagles were, competitive and winning.
Well, because they knew that the fans of Philly don't deserve it.
Well, they knew it was going to be either a happy riot or a sad riot. So,
but I'd rather have them have the sad riot and not have the championship.
That's you, though. You're allowed to be biased. You're an out and about Cowboys fan. I'm allowed to be biased. I'm an out and about Jets fan. I obviously hate the Patriots. But if you're announcing a game, you can't let your bias show, and you have to announce the game evenly. And Collinsworth just had a lot of dead air that Al Michaels was supposed to be filling, and Al Michaels used to be great. I just think he doesn't care anymore. And
he's too busy hitting the bottom.
And Collinsworth is just terrible. He has seemingly lost all understanding of the game. He is completely biased, and he gives way too much dead air. He's just so frustrating to listen to. He doesn't provide any insight that a casual fan could not provide.
No.
You look at someone like Romo, you look at someone like John Gruden. Sure, John Gruden could get kind of crazy sometimes, could be almost annoying to some people. I personally found him pretty entertaining. But he also provided insight. He would be able to break things down and explain them to a casual fan.
He introduced us to Spider 2Y Banana.
Exactly. And when he was with Al Michaels, they had a great repertoire, or not repertoire. Rapport, sorry.
And a great repertoire.
Of Spider 2Y Banana plates.
Spider 2Y Banana.
And they made Spider 2Y Banana milkshakes.
What?
They did funny things. Yeah, they did funny things. And there's none of that. There's none of that rapport. There's none of that energy between Michaels and Collinsworth, because Collinsworth just sucks the life out of the room.
You want to make it worse?
Now here's a guy, some inane bullcrap. That's all he says, and I can't stand him. I want him off of the air completely.
Really quickly, a few things. One, I saw rules for a drinking game that said every time Chris Collinsworth says, "Now here's a guy," you take a shot.
You would die. You would die. Do not play that drinking game. You will not survive the night.
You have a better chance of surviving taking a shot every time LMFAO says shots.
Yeah.
And shots.
Yeah.
But two more things really quickly.
But next year, Romo in the Super Bowl.
As the quarterback.
As the announcer. As something. Just not Collinsworth as the color commentator.
Could be worse.
Jesus.
It could be Joe Buck and Chris Collinsworth.
Oh God, I think I would have either, if someone forced me to watch that game, I would find a way to, kill myself.
Mute it. Just put it on mute.
No. If someone forced me to listen to it and watch it, strap me to a chair and had my, head strapped forward and the volume blasting, I would find a way to choke to death on my own saliva rather than listen to that.
Right. I forgot what the third thing was. I sound like Rick Scott or something. But we're going to move on. Boldest prediction of the group. The Saints will beat the Steelers in Super Bowl 53.
No way.
I mean, they both are playoff teams. Assuming Big Ben doesn't retire,
Which I think he's gonna.
Yeah, I could totally see them back, but I think Big Ben might retire.
I'm pretty sure he does. All right, so that's the end of the bold predictions article. Now we're going to get into our own discussion about this awful game.
That was a good game.
That was a great game.
Okay, so we'll start with that. I'm sad that the game had to be between these two teams.
JP going under MRI. It's
Oh.
Tuesday. That's today.
Yeah.
So he's already getting an MRI. Okay. Sorry, keep going.
I'm sad that the game had to be between these two teams because I was miserable watching a great game. And I was pretty miserable.
Yeah, you were.
I was a miserable bastard. Had a few friends over. I was pretty miserable.
Especially after it was over.
Oh my god.
You're like
So
pondering,
miserable.
Pondering through your phones, like what the Giants fans were saying. And
Yep. All right.
oh, what about
Super Bowl 52. Eagles 41, Patriots 33.
There was like, as a football fan, that was a fantastic game. That was one of the most entertaining Super Bowls. You know, constant action. It was real fun to watch. That Cooks injury was tough, and I think that really hurt the Patriots.
All right, so we have Tim B, who's commenting. Thanks, Tim. He sent us the link for HV Taco Fest. Yeah, Tim,
There we go, Tim.
you the real MVP.
That's it. Just buy our
Buy our
concession
tickets.
in.
Yeah.
As, a donation to Dan D'Antoni Sports.
Now accepting donations of Hudson Valley Taco Fest tickets. So we're gonna talk about the Super Bowl now. 41-33, like I said. The Eagles don't deserve a Super Bowl, especially not those fans. The Eagles fans have started fires. No, he said it's sold out.
It's already sold out.
No,
Get out of here.
no, Tim. Now
I'm
you're
gonna
breaking
make
my
own
heart.
Taco Fest. With
Don't go
blackjack
breaking
and
my
hookers.
Oh man, Tim, that's the most depressing news I've heard all night. And we've found out that KP is injured.
yeah.
Tacos repair knee injuries. Let me Google that.
In our hearts, it can. The Eagles fans have started fires, flipped cars, climbed all kinds of poles, and have even eaten horse shit. All right. I hate all kinds of riots, and it's unacceptable. That city, the police, and the Eagles organization have not done anything to discourage this kind of behavior, and it is sad. Eagles fans are violent, destructive, and should be classified as animals.
That's every Eagles fan, huh?
Every Eagles
Every
fan.
single one. I'm gonna disagree. I know there are bad actors, but I don't know that every fan of the Eagles is a terrible human being.
Listen, you classify every fan of Trump as a terrible human being, right?
No comment.
So why can't I classify every Eagles fan as horrible people? I've got you.
Not to mention, too, didn't they say Tom Brady was the first quarterback ever to reach the stats of 3 touchdowns and like an 80% passing?
500. He's the
500
first quarterback in
yards.
NFL history to throw for 500 yards,
3 touchdowns.
3 touchdowns, no interceptions, and lose the game.
Yeah, crazy. But Foles was playing out of his mind. That was.
Are you saying he was on drugs? He was on mind-altering drugs?
Possibly. Oh, that
Damn.
was pretty. Oh, the lob to Giannis, just smashing it down.
Oh. All right.
KP was giving him trouble all night, and now there's no one to give him trouble. But yeah, what were we talking about?
Yeah, tacos.
Tacos.
No, we're talking. You said Nick Foles was having playing out of his mind. I talked about mind-altering drugs.
Oh yeah, I mean maybe. Who knows? It's the Super Bowl. What are they going to do? Test you after?
They should test before and after.
They probably do. But yeah, really fun game to watch. But yeah, Nick Foles. Maybe everyone dismissed him too early after a bad year under what's his face.